Hey guys, what's up? I'm back again with another talk about the whole Shannon Creepshow art. I said my last video was going to be the final one, and it pretty much is. This is more so for corrections and to look at what some of the other people that she kind of called out in her own rant had to say, and other YouTube creators, their response to Creepshow Art's video that supposedly purged her of all sin. Especially Tipster, who she really went after at the end. I kind of feel sorry. The guy, I've always thought Tipster seemed like a pretty cool guy, pretty down-to-earth, balanced, and nice. And he seemed to be like the only person who opened up a platform for Shannon to come on and correct anything that had gone wrong. Even if she had made a bunch of mistakes, he said he would open up his platform, and she just roasted him. And it was pretty messed up to watch. Anyway, the other thing that's really important that once I start this video, I want to correct right away is that ages were flipped. It said when Emily was 17, she dated a 13-year-old. And first of all, a lot of people said that's messed up. She should have never done that. But also other people pointed out, no, this is completely wrong. The ages were flipped. Emily was 13 and her partner was 17. Also, another thing that I didn't make clear, I just said the person she dated. I never actually said a gender. It was a girlfriend, and the girlfriend was 17 and Emily was 13. Some people wrote into me about the problem of, they said a 17-year-old man should never date a 13-year-old girl. And I could see where people are struggling with that. 17 is obviously very close to an adult, and 13 is very close to a middle school child. So I get it. I understand. But first of all, I blame myself for not correctly gendering who she was dating. I just didn't say a gender at all. I didn't misgender. I just never appointed one. And I apologize for not going back to listen to Emily's video. Shannon flips so much stuff in this script that she even got me messing up my video about the ages. So that's a huge correction. And once again, when you guys see stuff like this, call it to my attention, call me out, and I will make the correction. I don't believe myself to be infallible. I know after going through that 2-hour video 2 times and taking notes the second time, my brain was fried. I still had to take a couple days break just from talking about this stuff because it's overwhelming kind of how mind-boggling some of it is. In Tipster video, he also reveals some of the stuff that we talked about with lawyers being involved, because during the time that he was asking about this, if you don't remember, Shannon starts her video out by saying that she's been through the court system, and if she's making this video, she's privately settled with Emily or been through the court system and sued her for slander. It was revealed later, and the source being Emily talking during a stream that Hardly TBH was having, that their lawyers have spoken, but all they've attempted to do is ask Emily to take her videos down, which she obviously has not. She doesn't need to. And there's actually been no legal filing whatsoever at all. So I was correct in saying that they absolutely have not actually done any kind of court battle or legal filing or anything like that. Where I did get something wrong was I thought there hadn't been really any lawyer involvement at all. But apparently their lawyers have been in contact with each other, but nothing actual documented has happened. The other thing I forgot to mention was with LolCow. I said she never talked about this stuff on LolCow, but I wasn't really specific enough. What she had said was that she had her account spoofed on LolCow and used her IP address to sign in and make all the comments that were against other creators. Now, watching Spockter's video, this kind of explained it better to me. He broke down how the spoofing worked. I can't repeat it exactly because even though he made it so simple to understand, my brain I wouldn't even know how to go about hacking anything. I'm no sort of hacking expert. But the way he played it out, he let you know that to be able to actually spoof an IP is not only a difficult task for elite hackers, but would be something you'd have to pay someone off to do usually, or hire someone who's like high level hacker. And if someone just did this of their own will, it really makes even less sense, because it would be like an Iranian super hacker who hated Emily, which just, it doesn't make any sense. This random person on the internet going to all this trouble, wasting all this time. And a good point that I never thought up is this happened over 2 years, and then it was finally exposed. What hacker would go on a 2-year campaign of hacking someone's IP address, posting on a site like Locale, just to get another person they didn't like in trouble? It's so strange. The other one was, I should have really spoke about this one because this is kind of crazy to me personally as an artist. Spockter spoke about this too. He said that Shannon not only went after the Locale aspect of the accusations, but through art accusations that Emily's own art wasn't her art, that she was paying someone to outsource drawing her art and then having them send pictures to her, and then she would trace their pictures to create her art. What? That doesn't even really make sense why you would, I mean, you could just get a light board and download pictures off the internet and trace those. Not only that, I mean, I know how tracing works with tracing paper and with tracing digitally. And just from watching the bit of Emily's videos I have, there doesn't appear to be any tracing going on. I mean, I guess what she's saying is maybe she had them do the underdrawing, and that's why when the video starts, Emily has pictures already done as far as an underdrawing or sketch is concerned, and then she inks and paints over it. But I mean, as an artist, we all know how long it takes to do an underdrawing, and usually that's not something someone wants to sit around and watch happen. They want to see the main color, the ink, and all that stuff put on. And I would imagine that's why a lot of her videos start out like that. I don't think she outsourced an undersketch from Korea, as Shannon has said, so that she can ink and paint over it. That seems like super villain level of strange to go about doing. There's some of these responses that viewers and creators had that were kind of just across the board. They all kind of just, in general, mentioned the same thing. All viewers exclaimed that everything that Shannon had on Emily made her look more guilty than Emily herself even did. And it did nothing to clear her name, more so to make her look even more guilty. The photo bucket nudes, I had multiple people write to me saying, what is she talking about that Emily could have never had her nudes uploaded to PhotoBucket? I used to use PhotoBucket to upload my nudes all the time. Thank you for that TMI. And yes, I realized that part too sounded very strange, but I just wanted to say that other people backed that up by saying, yo, during this time of my life, I used to upload nudes to PhotoBucket all the time. They do not take them down. It is not impossible to upload nudes to PhotoBucket. Not going to name any creators on that one. Deleted files are proof. This is another one. Tipster mentioned this too. Spockter mentioned this, and a couple other big creators mentioned this. The amount of deleted files that Shannon had on Emily were on a psychotic level of collection. Anytime it seemed like she was playing an audio file, below the file, Shannon herself would list it as deleted by Emily, deleted by Emily, deleted by Emily. And it's like, so Emily deleted this ages ago, and you are the only person who still has it, and you're the only source for it. So you've been collecting these. You're a stalker. The other one that everybody pointed out, the same as me, I said this too, Anthony, why does he never speak? And why has he gone to great lengths to hide all his social media? The other acts that many other creators all agreed on and brought to my attention and in the comments down below, one person said Tommy C's cat was a person who commented on Tipster's video and noted that Shannon's main defense was that Emily had constantly attacked all of her exes and all their different aliases for being harassers in the past, and that it's pretty obvious that a lot of the comments that Emily uses tend to look like the same way Shannon writes all the time. So, trying to explain this a little bit better, I think what he's saying is that she's complained about other people in the past and had different names for those different people, but all the things she complains about tend to be the same harassment over and over again, which means most likely it's Shannon and Anthony with different aliases. I think we can all agree that it's easy to make multiple accounts on multiple different social platforms. I don't know why that would be a great defense for Shannon. Also, I didn't know this. Shannon apparently on the day of this video dropped a massive amount of documents on Instagram that attacked not just Tipster, but multiple creators for not defending her. I don't know how she thought that was going to go for her. Another great point, and this one was one that Tipster pointed out, was what does Emily's middle school life have to do with Shannon's innocence? I thought this was a very good point. Yeah, middle school life. She talked about a crush she had on a teacher, which I totally forgot to mention in my own video. This was like psychotic. I thought this was just so out of the blue and so removed from the conversation that I forgot to mention it entirely. But yeah, what does middle school puppy love crush on a teacher have to do with any trouble Shannon supposedly dealt with Emily or the stalking situation? How does telling us that story disprove Shannon being a stalker? It doesn't. An anonymous user talked to Tipster about Shannon cries that no one of her friends came forward to defend her after she told them to stay away and not defend her. Oh, okay. Yeah, this one's crazy. So, like I said, Shannon dropped a bunch of stuff on Instagram about other creators she didn't like. And apparently even before that, she dropped a bunch of stuff on Instagram that was documentation clearing her of any wrongdoing, as well as Anthony too. And she yells at Tipster and all other creators online that she couldn't believe that no one had simply been good enough or not too lazy as to just scroll down on Instagram and read these damn documents. Well, first of all, the number one thing all these people exclaim is that she blocked them right away on Instagram. So how are you supposed to research to defend someone who's already blocked you from researching the documents to defend them? On top of it, she screams and she cries about people not defending her. But Tipster and Ready to Glare showed messages that said, I don't want anybody to defend me. Don't try to take my side. Don't worry about me. If anything, remove yourself from this situation. So she's crying that they didn't defend her, while at the same time in the past telling her not to defend her. Like, what? The other thing she claims is that Tipster viciously, and I'm saying this verbatim, she said, viciously attacked her husband and went on his social media to put down all these mean things. He brought up what she was talking about, and it's literally a dead YouTube channel that her husband Anthony changed the name of. Before it was, I think, his real name, and then he changed it to a channel called Alan Wake. And because he did that, all Tipster did was go to his channel and say, why did you delete all your vids and rename your channel? That's the vicious attack Tipster did. Like, how there's nothing about that that's an attack, that's, you know, anything less than just investigating what happened. He's asking a very neutral question there. There's not a bad word in it. There's no insults in that. It's a simple question trying to ask what's going on. All right. So, last but not least, one thing I like to do when I finally finish off one of these giant run-throughs of some major event that happened, especially with this Shannon event, because it's just so mind-boggling how she thought this video would clear her name. Every person I hear talk about it not only reiterates the same feelings I had or the same flaws I saw in the video, but they all ask the same question of why? Like, why would somebody post this? It makes no sense. When I went searching for a reason like something like this would play out, the main thing I kept stumbling over and over again were two types of narcissistic personality disorder, and that is grandiose narcissistic personality disorder and vulnerable narcissistic personality disorder. And, I'm doing the whole armchair psychologist thing here. I have no background or learning in this stuff. I know as much as anybody else who's watched a YouTube video, but I went through a list of Dr. Grande. That's my source on YouTube. If you don't watch him, he's pretty good. And I listened to what he had to say about different traits of grandiose and vulnerable narcissistic types. There are two different types, but he said there is a constant flow between the two types with some personality disorders, or it's part of a narcissistic personality disorder inventory that plays out with a lot of narcissistic personality types. And it sounds like Shannon kind of hits a lot of these on the head. So for grandiose, it was disgusted or disappointed by acts done. So this means anything that a person achieves or anything that a person accomplishes in their life. For example, Emily having a flourishing art career or YouTube channel, Emily decides to say that her art is outsourced and that her style is copying other people's style. They constantly try to dismiss any kind of achievement somebody gets in their life. Fantasies of wealth and power. This is still grandiose, narcissistic type. She went on locale pretending to be other people and cheered herself on via fake accounts. So that's, her fantasy trip, making on like she has all these viewers on there being like, go Shannon, you're the best. Vulnerable aspects, constant victimhood. Shannon did nothing wrong. I think like this is this video is like a prime example of constantly imagining yourself to be the victim in vulnerable narcissistic personality disorder. Like, she takes no claim of anything being done wrong by her at all. Like, I went through the video now 3 times to get this done, and there's not a point where she stops and says, I realize this part here is a bit iffy, or I realize I made a mistake doing this. There's nothing. And instead, she returns all of it with rage as being a victim. And last but not least, blaming, constant blame. She flips the script constantly to make everything else everybody else's fault. She even goes out of her way to like just flip information, like I said, with the ages of who Emily dated in the past to make Emily look worse, and goes out of her way to say things like, I wish I had never met or interacted with. That's the other aspect, and that would be Emily and Tipster. She says that she wishes she had never interacted with them, and this would have never happened if she had simply never met these people. So the reason all this bad stuff happened was simply because they passed through her life, and it's their fault. When I make one of these videos, I don't just want to sit around roasting a person. I do actually want to look for a reason, because I think if we start to notice personality traits that are somewhat destructive to that person or to the community as a whole, we can, as a community, learn to stay away from them. And my God, if there was ever an example of a creator type or narcissistic personality type to stay away from, it's Creepshow art. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this last and final video on all this. I don't think I'll be bringing this up ever again unless she somehow emerges on the internet or, I don't know, creates a new account. Maybe that'll happen later down the line. Again, if you found anything wrong with my video, always point it out. Thank you so much for all the questions, answers, updates, and information. Your help has made these videos possible, as well as your views and your subscription. Guys, I'm so thankful for a little community that I'm building here. It's so fun to talk to you guys. As you've probably noticed, I answer just about every comment people make. You guys are sometimes so hilarious. You really have me cracking up sometimes in the comments, so I love that aspect too. Keep it up. I'll update my Discord link because apparently I think I put down a old Discord link. Sorry. And come chat with me about anything. Have a good one. Have a good rest of the day. I've been the Inksmith. I'll talk to you again soon.